Richard Langston, a powerful billionaire known more for his boardroom conquests than his compassion, arrives at a quiet cemetery on a cold, foggy morning. It's his son Joshua's 30th birthday, a son he hadn't spoken to in years. The rift between them, born of pride and harsh expectations, was never healed before Joshua's sudden death. Richard clutches a single white rose, the weight of regret heavy on his shoulders. He expects solitude, maybe a moment of silent penance. But as he nears the grave, something catches him off guard. Someone is already there. A young woman, wearing a worn waitress uniform, kneels at the grave, tears streaming down her face. Beside her stands a small boy, no older than 5, holding a toy soldier. Her hand rests gently on the child's shoulder as she whispers something too soft to hear. Richard freezes, confused and unsettled. He had believed no one else visited Joshua's grave, that no one else truly mourned him. The woman notices Richard, startled by his presence. Their eyes meet, and a silent understanding begins to stir. She isn't a stranger. She knows something, someone, that Richard lost long ago. In that moment, the billionaire, usually so certain, is flooded with questions and emotions he hasn't faced in years. Who is she? What's her connection to his son? And who is the child? The answers lie just ahead, buried not in the ground, but in the untold story of love, sacrifice, and second chances. Richard stares at the woman, his voice edged with suspicion and pain. Why are you here? Why are you crying at my son's grave? His heart pounds, not just from anger, but from something deeper, fear that there's a side of Joshua he never knew. The woman, still kneeling, stands slowly. Her eyes are red, but her voice is steady. My name is Sarah, she says. I loved your son. Not for his name, or his past. For the man he was when no one was watching. She looks down at the boy beside her. This is Eli. He's 5. The little boy clutches his toy soldier and glances up shyly. He called your son Uncle Josh. He thought of him as a hero. Richard's mouth opens, then closes. His eyes shift between the boy and the gravestone. Why didn't I know about you? About any of this? Sarah's voice softens. Because he didn't want anything from you. He said you'd already lost so much, and he didn't want to be another disappointment. Her words hit like a blow to the chest. Then, almost in a whisper, she adds, I never told Eli the whole truth. That Josh wasn't just his hero. He was his father. The ground feels unsteady beneath Richard's feet. The boy's face, now clearer in the morning light, bears an undeniable resemblance. In that moment, Richard realizes he hasn't just lost a son, he may have unknowingly turned his back on a grandson too. Sarah sits quietly on the bench beneath the old oak, her eyes lost in memory. Her voice trembles as she begins. Josh showed up one night at the soup kitchen. No one knew who he really was, just a guy with tired eyes and gentle hands. He didn't talk much, but he listened. He helped serve meals, cleaned tables, stayed long after the lights went off. Richard listens, stunned, as her words paint a version of his son he never met, not the angry boy who walked out of his mansion, but a man rebuilding his life through kindness. I was working there too, she continues. Barely making ends meet. I had Eli, and I was scared all the time. My ex would show up drunk, screaming. Josh, he stood in front of me, every single time. He never let us feel alone. As her tears fall, the sound of a car crash echoes faintly in Richard's mind, a memory of the news headline he tried to forget. He died just weeks after I found out I was pregnant. I never got the chance to tell him. Richard turns to Eli, who is now playing quietly near the headstone, completely unaware of the storm of emotion surrounding him. The boy's profile, his smile, it's all so familiar. He whispers, he's my grandson. Sarah nods, silent. And in that moment, the air stills. The silence between them is louder than grief, it's the weight of truth, finally spoken. Rain taps gently on the windshield as Richard sits in his sleek black car, parked just across the street from a small, worn-down diner. Through the window, he watches Sarah balancing trays, rushing between tables, all while glancing toward the counter where little Eli sits with crayons and a paper placemat. She looks tired, but there's warmth in her smile every time her eyes meet her son's. Richard clutches the steering wheel, wrestling with guilt and fear. For decades, money was his answer to everything. But today, it feels useless. What he wants can't be bought, it has to be earned. Finally, he steps out, rain beating on his coat. He walks into the diner, out of place among the clatter and smell of grilled food, but determined. Sarah notices him and freezes, unsure. "I'm not here as the man you read about in newspapers," he says gently. "I'm here as a father who failed, and a grandfather who's just realized he's been given a second chance." He takes a breath, his voice cracking. "I wasn't there for Josh. Not when he needed me most. I can't fix that. But please, let me be there for Eli." Sarah looks at him, long and hard. Her guard is up, but she sees it now, not the billionaire, but a man stripped of pride, asking for a chance to be human. A moment of silence passes. Then, she nods, just once. And Richard exhales, hope flickering for the first time in years. The sun hangs warmly overhead as children's laughter fills the park. Eli runs barefoot through the grass, gripping Richard's hand tightly as they chase a kite. His laughter is unfiltered, joyous, and it echoes something Richard hasn't heard in decades: life, pure and unburdened. On a nearby bench, Sarah watches. Her eyes glisten, but not from sadness. This is gratitude, for a moment she never imagined, for a bridge that grief alone couldn't build, but love did. Later, Richard and Eli sit beneath a shady tree, sharing a melting ice cream cone, their fingers sticky and faces smiling. Richard holds a children's book, one he remembers reading to Joshua when he was little. Now, he reads it again, his voice soft, steady, filled with emotion he once thought he'd forgotten how to feel. Eli leans against him, content. Sarah joins them, slipping her hand in the sand beside theirs, forming a trio of prints, small, strong, and steady. Grandfather. Mother. Child. A voiceover gently closes the story. Sometimes, love finds you in the most unexpected places. And the heart, no matter how broken, can still make room for healing. The screen fades to the image of 3 handprints in the sand, side by side. No mansion. No legacy of billions. Just love, quiet, powerful, and finally whole.